Okay, girls, hi, how you doing? I didn't have my glasses on, so I had to get very close to the screen to see what I'm doing. Anyway, I'm going to read to you, like I said in the WhatsApp, the text from the second chapter of Saturday Vocabulary Workshop. And while I read it, I will explain to you some of the meaning of the words after every paragraph or two. And then you will do the first section this week. Okay, so let's read. Page 24. West End School has comestible curriculum. Comestible. Comestible means edible. You can eat it. Okay? Something is comestible, it is edible. Let's go on. It comes from the, I know if you know Spanish, for example, I know all these languages, so it kind of helps me. I see all the roots of the words. So comer means to eat in Spanish. So you see the root there from Latin, in any case. Here we go. The Scrumptious Schoolyard is a grassroots program that transforms concrete playgrounds into functional farmland. Okay, there's a program here. It's called the Scrumptious Schoolyard. A schoolyard is a playground where you play, and scrumptious is a word for tasty. There was a movie I saw, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Anybody see Chitty Bang Bang? It's a movie with like a movie like Mary Poppins. Great one to see. So there's a woman there called. They sing a song to somebody called Truly Scrumptious. She's very delicious. She's the daughter of the owner of a candy factory. Anyway, let's go on. Part of the Scrumptious Schoolyard project. It is the brainchild of contemporary food education pioneer Clarissa Z. Ochoa, or Ochoa. Not so sure how to say his name. Okay, so this program is the brainchild. It is the idea. The notion of a brainchild. This person thought of the idea of a person named Clarissa Ochoa, I'll say. And she's a contemporary, it says in dark letters, contemporary food education pioneer. Contemporary means, here it means modern, of our days. It's happening now. Contemporary is happening now. It can be modern, it can be current. It means now. It's happening now. Contemporary. The current food education pioneer, Clarissa Ochoa. Students explore the connection between what they eat and where it comes from through hands-on organic gardening and cooking classes. So they're doing gardening, which is hands-on. That means that they are doing the gardening themselves. The comestible curriculum encompasses math, science, history, geography, social studies, and more. So encompasses means to include. To encompass can also be surround, but here it means to include. Okay, so there's going to be an interview, asking questions and answers. Interviewer: Rosa, you're a 6th grade student gardener in the Scrumptious Schoolyard at TR Middle School in West End. Have you tried growing anything before? Rosa: No, this is my first time, and now I have a green thumb. I might become a farmer or a chef or both. So she says she has a green thumb. Her thumb has become green. Has it really become green? No. It actually means that she is very good at, can you guess it? Yes, you can. I'm sure you can. She's good at gardening. Maybe my face is too close here. Must be terrible. Okay, let's back up. Interviewer: I heard that the Scrumptious Schoolyard concept was somewhat controversial in the beginning. This word controversial means shinui b'machloket in Hebrew. It's some people were for it, some people were against it. Rosa: It ruffled a few feathers. Okay, to ruffle means to mess up. If I ruffle my hair, if I had hair, I would make it all mixed up. And ruffle could also be to annoy. I ruffled you. I mean, I kind of like made you out of order. But it's what a bird sometimes does to his feathers when he opens up his feathers. It literally says that. It ruffled a few feathers. Some people were annoyed. Some people were disinterested. Disinterested means they were not interested at all. They didn't have any opinion. While others were suspicious, ashtanin, depicting it as playing instead of learning. To depict something is to describe it as. To depict it is to describe it. I think their complaints are groundless, and they really don't know what they're missing. Okay, groundless, there's no ground. In other words, ein basis, it's groundless, a groundless complaint. It's not based on anything. It's amazing to watch something grow from a tiny seed. It takes a lot of stamina and enthusiasm to keep the gardens growing, but everyone works together. A stamina, I think they call it in Hebrew like something like tizbolet. Sovelet, sibolet. It means to be able to do something for a long time and not stop. Like somebody can run 10 kilometers and never take a break. Just run, and just, you've got a lot of stamina. And of course, if you can do 25 kilometers, which is a marathon, that's even more. Or is it 50 kilometers? In any case, if you can run a lot and not stop, you've got a lot of stamina. Interviewer, what are some favorite experiences and things you've learned? Rosa, I was excited when the blossoms on the squashes and pumpkins appeared. The squash is dalat. Pumpkins also dalat. There are two types of dalat. And we made pumpkin pancakes and sauteed zucchini. Zucchini, you probably know, is what they're saying. Something wrong with the texture. 1 second. So zucchini is 1 second, girls. I have to stop something. I understand. Going on. Okay, I didn't complete the sentence. We made pumpkin pancakes, yummy, and I just had a pumpkin cake. It was our tradition at the end of November. We made pumpkin pancakes and sauteed zucchini blossoms. Gotta go to the next page, blossoms. So I actually cooked and ate a flower. So a zucchini, you know what a zucchini is, right? And at the end of a zucchini, sometimes you have a flower. Maybe I have one inside my refrigerator. Hold on a second. No, I don't have a zucchini, but I have at the end of a zucchini, which is kishui, you have a flower. It's a plant like this is a cucumber. And at the end of this cucumber, there's actually the end of a flower. Now, when it was in the field, that flower was big. It was maybe this big. And you can actually eat those flowers. Actually, I was in Santa Barbara. I was in California over the summer, and I bought a zucchini flower. And they're really tasty. There's lots of flowers you can eat. For example, kochaba, you know what the flower nasturtiums, like which in Hebrew is called a kova nazir. A kova nazir, the flower is tasty, very good. Little peppery, but sweet. Anyway, so they actually sauteed. So saute means to put into a pan with butter and to cook it at the same time, or any kind of oil. So they sauteed these flowers. You usually saute onions and garlic. So they sauteed these flowers, these blossoms. Blossom is the flower. So I actually cooked and ate a flower. Okay. Rule number 1 for gardeners is smart planning. And we need to get maximum use from our plot. Maximum means the most. And plot means your plot of land. Plot can have many meanings. In English, it can mean a story, a alilah. But here, a plot means actually like a migra, like a chelka. If you have any public gardens or any garden, sometimes they have public gardens. They give everybody a little section to make their garden in. That's called your plot of land. Have you heard of companion planting? So companion's a friend. So I guess you do it with a friend. Plants are like people. Some exist together better than others. So we manipulate the plants, materials, and space and get the best possible harvest. So now I see I was wrong. She's not talking about planting with people, with friends. She's talking about how plants themselves have certain plants that go better together. They match. They grow better when they're close to each other. So they're plant companions. Okay. And again, the word here, manipulate, means to control, So we manipulate the plants, materials, and space to get the best harvest. Harvest is everything that comes, all the vegetables and fruits that you pick when they're ready and ripe. That's your harvest. In Hebrew, it's called the Yevula. We also extend the natural growing seasons by mimicking Mother Nature with grow lights and mini greenhouses. To mimic somebody is to act what they're doing. So if you were mimicking me right now, and I raise my hand, you would raise your hand. If I put my thumbs up, you would put your thumbs up. If I put my thumb down, you would put your thumb down. Mimicking. A mime is somebody who, let's not get into that. Anyway. Interviewer. Have you encountered any stumbling blocks so far? A stumbling block is something that makes you stumble or trip, lim'od, to fall. So a stumbling block could be like a michshol. Rosa. We develop tools and strategies for overcoming adverse conditions. Adverse. Adverse means negative, bad. Something which is adverse, you don't like it, or it's going to be tough. Adverse situation. Negative, difficult. Our climate isn't extremely arid, but sometimes it's pretty dry. So we practice water conservation by using rain barrels. Okay, so arid means dry, very dry. She says it's not extremely dry, arid, but it's pretty dry. It's, dry, yavesh. So they still need to do water conservation. Conservation means shimur, right? So shmirat hamayim. Also, the first time we tried to make compost, it was unbelievably smelly. Compost, I make compost. It's when you take all your old vegetables and mix it with some leaves from the garden, and the worms get into it, and it all gets decomposed and turns into very good earth. So it was unbelievably smelly. You have to get the ingredients and layers right. The second time it turned out great. One of our teachers calls compost black gold. Good stuff. Interviewer, do you have a secret for attracting butterflies and bees to the garden? Rosa, we grow flowers that draw beneficial insects. Now, draw doesn't mean, let's say, it means to draw, to pull out, like Rivka from the Tanakh drew the water from the well. Lishov. So to draw attention is limshoch tzumat lev. So this is limshoch, to draw. We grow flowers that draw beneficial insects that attract. Honeybees pollinate our plants. It means that to pollinate, you'll learn that in biology, means that the bee comes along and they take the pollen out. Okay, but by taking the pollen out and moving from flower to flower, they spread the pollen from flower to flower, and they help the flowers actually fertilize to develop seeds, because there's males, there's the male and the female. I'm not going to go into the biology of it, but it helps that you need to do that in order to develop the seeds. The bees help the plants make seeds. Honeybees pollinate our plants, but the bees are in trouble because of colony collapse disorder. So we try to do our part. So this is some kind of phenomenon. It's in capital letters. Colony collapse disorder. A colony is a yishuv. Collapse, fall apart, fall down, or leap moted. Disorder is a shibush. Okay, So apparently there's some problem, what you maybe have heard about, there's all sorts of problems with the bees throughout the world. And they're talking here about that. So we try to do our part. In other words, we're trying to encourage more bees to prosper, to develop. Since our gardens are organic, we would be hypocrites if we used pesticides. So we're studying all natural pest control. A hypocrite, have you heard of a hypocrite? I'm sure some of you have. A hypocrite is somebody who says to do something, but they don't do it. Or they say, don't do this, and they do it. They're a hypocrite. They are du partsufi or tzavua. Okay. We're using pesticides are things that kill insects. Something like that. I forgot the word. One raised bed has a konibori, a Japanese fish kite that billows in the breeze and scares off scavengers. So what they're saying here is that there's something I've never heard of before. It's called a konibori. It's a Japanese fish kite, a kite which is long. It's got it looks like a bit like a fish. Maybe have seen those, that billows in the breeze. To billow is to blow, especially with a sailboat. The sail billowed along. The sail was pushed by the wind and billowed. Billows in the breeze, blows in the breeze, and scares off the scavengers. It's kind of like a scarecrow. Okay, tachlil. Interviewer, what would you say to other schools or kids interested in the program? What would you say? Rosa, confront obstacles and go for it. Confront them, go against them, full force. Boom, confront them. To confront is litamet. You may think one kid can't do much to help the environment or change how people eat, but working in the scrumptious schoolyard has made me believe we can make a big difference. Notice I emphasize can because it's been in italics. We can. Interviewer. Finally, I have to ask, do you really eat all the vegetables you're growing? I thought kids were supposed to hate vegetables. Rosa. There's no way I'm going to eat turnips. Turnips are, how do you say turnip in Hebrew? I'll tell you in a second, look it up. But they're a little bit, when you're young, they kind of are bitter, but just boil them and add a little sugar and they're delicious. But it's good to try new things. According to my science teacher, we're still waiting to see him try turnips. Turnips, yeah. Turnips are great. I remember reading a story about this, actually, a Chinese American. She said, turnips, I never realized how great they are. You can do so much with them. They're candied turnips, that kind of what I was suggesting, but they're good if they're cooked with a sauce. They absorb a lot of flavor. But it's true that if you eat them dry, or you just eat them without much in it, they're very bitter. And when you're young, like this, bitter things are more difficult to deal with than when you're older. So anyway, turnip. Sorry, me so long. I bet some of you know. Is a, how do you say it? Lefet, lamed fe taf, lefet. Okay. All right, that's it. So that's the passage. You see Rosa de la Vega, the schoolyard, scrumptious schoolyard, students gardening, gardeners plant and tend to harvest, cook, and eat what they grow. And now what you need to do is go to the next page, and you've got a bunch of these words here. The word assailant, I didn't see once. Looking at these words here on the next page. Yeah, I don't think all these words actually appear in the story. So anyway, I'll just go over the words with you if you want. Adverse, remember, it says unfavorable, negative. An assailant is somebody who attacks somebody. Okay, an assailant, like a terrorist, is an assailant. Number 3, confront is to meet face to face. In this Parshat Shavua, Yaakov confronted the angel of Esav. Contemporary, it says person of the same time period that you're living, or contemporary also means belonging to the same period of time as oneself. So my contemporaries are, you are my contemporaries. We all live at the same time. But we could also talk about contemporary art. It means like modern art. Depict is to portray, to describe. Groundless, aim basis, it says here, without any good reason or cause. A hypocrite is somebody who's tzavua, a person who pretends to be what he or she is not, or better than he or she really is, a two-faced person. Mimic is, I told you, is to lachakot in Hebrew. And it says a person who does imitations, that doesn't help, to make fun of. Well, an imitation, that doesn't help you. They use the same word in the sentence. A mimic, again, is somebody who does what you are doing. He copies your behavior, mimic. Serene is peaceful. What does it say here? Peaceful, calm, free of emotional upset. Shalva, I feel a serene feeling. Argasha shel shalva, you could say in Hebrew. Sheepish means embarrassed or shy. Embarrassed, resembling a sheep in meekness, timid. Okay, so that's the first nagla of words, 10 words. And here, of course, you have to write down, read the sentences and decide which sentences in which the word is used correctly. On page 24, you have to circle the correct word. On page 29, you need to put the word into the sentence. And the next page is just the continuation of the same group. Let's see how far you can get, please. If you can't finish the whole unit this week, arid, it again means dry. Billow is a large wave, to rise or swell like a wave. I told you to blow. The ocean billowed and rose, like it rose like a wave, okay? Fans cheered enthusiastically when they saw their team's flags billowing over the stadium. So this thing means like a wave. I thought the billow means to be filled with the wind of something, but here it says a large wave. Constrain is to force somebody to do something. To constrain, I'm on page again 30, number 3. To force or compel. Disinterested means, here it says fair-minded, free from selfish motives, indifferent. Okay, so it has two meanings. It has the meaning I told you, which is indifferent, which means adish. But also, I didn't really explain this to you, it means to be fair. I'm disinterested. Like, we want a judge here, a judge in a certain situation, and the judge must be disinterested. The judge can't take sides, all right? Encompass, I said to surround. It says here encircle, to go reach around, to enclose. Incomprehensible, number 6, means impossible to understand, incomprehensible, impossible to understand. Manipulate is to control, I said, to handle or use skillfully, to manage or control, to manipulate. The tamleel, sometimes in Hebrew. Maximum is the most of something, the greatest possible amount. Ruffle, I told you, is it says wrinkle, make uneven, to annoy, upset, to flip through. That's to ruffle. That's how I described it to you. And it also says it's a noun, a ruffle, material used for trimming edges. A ripple, a low drum. Yeah, a ruffle. That's a word. That's it's kind of like sometimes people have like pillows, and there's a little like fabric at the end, which is sort of wavy, and it's kind of feminine. Girls might like it more than I hate it, but you can have ruffles at the end of something, like at the end of your sleeves, like sort of some fancy, like when you get wet, go to maybe a wedding, or maybe the wedding gown has at the very end this sort of material which is wavy like this. It's ruffled, so that's called a ruffle. Stamina, I told you, it's endurance, sibolet, strength needed to keep going or overcome. Okay, that's stamina. So those are the words, and the next section is again the same idea. You circle the word that's right, you put it in the sentence, and then you have, in the very end, page 34, you have synonyms. In other words, here you need to find a equivalent word in the end. For example, do they have synonyms here too? No. This is a good exercise. For example, let's do the first one. Says, remember the attacker's voice. An attacker. Who could the attacker be? That's that first word we saw at the very beginning. Assailant, which actually was number 2 on page 26. An assailant is the attacker. Able to replicate, number 2, replicate a bird's cry. On page 34, on the top. Replicate is to mimic, to replication. Neutral, number 3, serve as a neutral witness. If you're neutral, remember the judge needs to be neutral. He's disinterested. Okay, antonyms are milaba hapuho. Okay, hopes to release the prison. To release is to let go. Okay, so the opposite of release would be, oh boy, look for this in the text. Looking for the word in our list means the opposite of release. So you kind of have to release, opposite of release. I'm looking around here. Means to hold, to some of you've got it before me, huh? Manipulate the prisoner, ruffle the prisoner, constrain. I'm sorry. Number 3, page 30. There's the word number 3 is constrain, to hold back. Who wants to constrain the prisoner? So then you have to find the opposite. It's a great exercise. Zeo, I mean, and the rest is there's a writing assignment, which I would like to give you some writing assignments, but I think that's enough for this week if you get this far. And maybe at one point I do want to do one of the writing assignments in this book. And we have never done the final part of the very end, which if you can do it, that's great. It again goes through these words and again gives you another little exercise on. I'm not asking you to do that. And again, do whatever you can do. Don't feel stressed if you can't do it all, but use your English time to study vocabulary. It's a great thing to do. And next week, B'ezrat Hashem, we'll find an hour to learn together and do the unit. So I miss you. I wish I could have talked to you, but you're a great group. And I'm sure you'll do very well. Okay, until then, take care.